Scout!
Shut Up and Sit Down recommends
Scout!
If you, like me, enjoy incredibly svelte design packages, then
Scout!
might just be one of the best games you've ever played.
It's the bee's knees!
a 10 out of 10.
There are 3 actions you can take here, and you will take one of them on your turn. You can scout, you can show, or you can scout and show. We'll talk about showing first because it's most of what you're going to be doing. On your turn, when you show, you can play any number of cards from your hand. A hand that, get this, can never be rearranged. The cards that you pick have to be in a set, either copies of the same card or a run of cards, ascending or descending, but not both. But the key gimmick here is that the cards have to all be touching each other inside of your hand, and they have to be a better set than what is already on the table. So if there's a set of 2 2s in the middle of the table, you've either got to play more cards, a nice run of 1 2 3, for example, or better cards, 2 6s maybe. Once you've shown a better show than whatever it is in the center, then you take those cards as points. But what if your friend just played a ferocious combo right into the middle of the table that you can't beat because your hand is bunk, junk, bad, and not rad? Well, that is when you do the second of the 3 actions, scouting. Scouting is simple. You take a card from the set in the middle and add it into your hand, wherever you want and whatever way up you want.
The cards have different values depending on what way up they are. It's cool.
The person you scout gets a personal point, and then it's the next person's personal turn. You'll start scouting because you have to, but then quickly move on to scouting because you want to, building up a perfect set of cards you're going to devastate everyone with next turn. The run that'll collapse your hand so that those 2 8s are right next to each other, and then you'll play those so that your 1 and 2 are closer to your 4 and 5, which means that all you need is, oops, it looks like we've stumbled upon the knot, the core, the game goo. Scout preys upon the feeling of delirious satisfaction that comes from pruning a hand backwards until all you're left with is a devastating run of combos. The thing is, it's just not that simple. Scout has layers. It is a tightly wound ball of tips, tricks, realizations, revelations, schemes, and strategy. It has layers like an onion. So let's talk about scoring and how that wrinkles things. At the end of each round, you're going to get 1 point for every single card that you have from scouting in your pile. You'll also get a point for every time that you got scouted, but you're going to receive a negative point for every card left in your hand when the round ends. So how does the round end? Well, it ends in one of 2 ways. Either it ends when someone runs out of cards in their hand, or it ends when someone plays a set that is so good no one else can beat it, and they all scout in a row. Either way, the person who ends the round swerves any of those negative points. It's all profit, baby. So what about that last action? Well, it's simply to scout and show. You scout a card from the center, adding it anywhere you want into your hand, and then immediately showing straight away afterwards, playing a set of cards into the middle of the table. But you can only do this once per round, and this is the secret sauce, the gambling gravy, learning exactly when you want to time this magical and tempo disrupting action. What Scout really is to me, though, is the game that you slip in your bag to play with anyone, anywhere. This is a game that is great at 3, fantastic at 5, and exceptional at 4 players. This is one of those games that you just take with you on a little train journey. It's a game that you play with your first drink at the pub. It's a game that you play at a sleepy convention table. It is an apéritif or digestif for something 3 times its price and 8 times its size. But you know what goes down even nicer? It's showing this game to either people who don't play many games or people who play loads of them. One of the nice things about a really, really great card game is that they're some of the most direct pieces of design, where realizations and understandings come thick and fast to almost anyone playing, regardless of their familiarity with the hobby. plonking a huge game down on the table and trying to explain to a group of players why it is fun is often a nightmarish task. But with something like Scout, that doesn't happen. The fun is present from the word go. And within its cards are twists of design that evolve, surprise, and delight upon successive games, revelations about timing, gambling, a second sense of how to read the table. Each game begets a better understanding of the next. You know, I don't really know what else to say. It's small, it's vibrant, it fits back in its box. It's simply delectable. It's a treat. I love it. It's one of my favorite card games. So, what about the negatives? Roll up to the negative zone. We've got negatives. I guess the game doesn't work that well at 2 players. Kind of unclear as to how you play it at 2. And I don't like the art as much for this version. I kind of like the original. It's kind of PlayStation 1 era, kind of Dreamcasty maybe. That doesn't really matter that much. Oh, it's missing its exclamation mark. It now doesn't. It just says Scout, but hasn't got a exclamation. What's the point? So if you're swayed by those absolutely scathing negatives, then what about alternative recommendations? Well, Photograph from Matago and Sashi is a fantastic game. It's a re-implementation, or actually just retitling of a card game called Wind the Film that has a similar horrible reordering your hand mechanic. This game is also so much meaner. You're creating runs of cards representing film in your camera, trying to play them out the back of your hand in order, only being allowed to rearrange 1 card per turn, and your hand gets smaller throughout the course of the game. Honestly, this might find its way into one of those great card games are everywhere videos that Quinns is quite fond of doing. It's that good! And for its price point and size, I cannot recommend Bohnanza enough. An absolutely fantastic negotiation game with just a small deck of cards and this same no reordering your hand mechanic. This little dinky edition goes with me every time I go to the pub and is frighteningly cheap. It's great. It's Uwe Rosenberg's best game, and I love it. And that is the end of the video. That was Scout. It's a great card game. You should get it. If you want the podcast, it's right here. If you want other videos, they're right here. If you want shucks, it's going to cover my face right now. See you all in the next scintillating piece of Shut Up and Sit Down content. Goodbye.